So at the point, right?
Yes.
2008, were you...
Yeah, I was campaigning for
You
Hannah.
were campaigning, but were you full-time? No, right?
In the campaign, nobody was full-time.
You were a part-timer
We
at
were
the time,
all
right?
volunteers in the
Yeah,
campaign.
so you're a volunteer, and then after that, you guys won over the government.
Then when we won the government, Hannah was elected into office alongside with 36 Pakatan Rakyat Aduns back then. So I started working for Hannah.
So you started working full-time by then?
Actually, I started working part-time, but within a year, then I became full-time.
Right. Now, can you share with me what was the turning point? What was it that made you say, okay, I'm not just going to volunteer moving ahead. I'm going to give up my job? Because you were an engineer, if I can recall correctly, right?
I was an engineer.
Yeah.
I had started my own business at that point.
That's right. So it's not like you have no options.
I had. In fact, I cut my pay in half.
That's right.
By going full-time into politics.
What made you decide to leave politics at the point?
Okay.
I mean, not leave your
to leave
career
the
at
private
the point.
sector.
Yeah.
To be quite honest, I think it is a calling. I felt that this is my calling in life. I felt a higher level of fulfillment doing this work than I did doing my private sector work. So yes, I was working for an engineering firm, a contractor firm, doing all kinds of mechanical and electrical engineering. Then I had started my own firm. I cut my pay in half by going full-time into politics. But in that 1 year before I decided to move into full-time and not do it part-time, it was very clear that my fulfillment, my calling was definitely this line of work.
Hi, welcome back to another episode of Are We Okay? Together with myself, Mr. Money.
And hi, I'm Rajiv.
All right. So, Rajiv, last week you had an interview with Wan Faisal, right?
Yes, we did. And we missed you, Peter.
Yeah. So, I've been traveling quite a bit. But I think you guys can hold the show without me at all because I'm just a supporting character.
No. I think the one thing's constant throughout from the first episode till today that you are the main character. You just went missing for one episode.
That's because it's my studio.
It is your studio. And here we are back at the Mr. Money studio.
That's right. Anyway, if there's one takeaway for you over the whole interview, what would it be?
I think it was nice and refreshing for him to be quite frank and open about the troubles that Bersatu and Perikatan are going through. And it's definitely not an easy hole to climb out of. And I wish him all the best as he navigates that difficult situation that he personally is in as well as Bersatu is in. But it was good. I think in English-speaking medium, this kind of interview, this kind of information rarely gets out there. So this is one of the rare things you can find on YouTube that goes in depth and gets down to understanding the psyche behind all the thoughts, the decision making that they do.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah, I think there's an episode that's not to be missed. So for those of you guys who haven't watched it yet, do go and check it out.
Yeah.
Now, this week,
yes,
what are some of the interesting topics that we have at hand?
Well, we are smack in the middle of Sabah elections, so I think we should say one or two things about it. So Peter, what do you think of what's happening in Sabah?
I have to say that when it comes to Sabah, currently from what I've heard from a lot of people, it is still a very close call. It seems like there's no exact wins that's favoring a certain part, right? To say that, hey, I'm very certain that I'm going to win this state.
I think no one is certain they're going to win anything.
It's. I would say that out of all the elections that I've seen so far, this is one of those that it's really
don't know what's the outcome going to be.
Yeah, really don't know. Like there's not even a hint of it kind of thing. Yeah, is that true or is it just me?
Well, I would say it's largely true. Definitely some of the researchers, pollsters on the ground will try to make a better guess out of it. But you're looking at a situation where you have a super multi-corner fight all over Sabah. It is not a three-way fight. You see, like the last general elections, when it was a three-way fight, and previous elections, when it was a very focused two-way fight, it's much more easier to predict who will be the winner. It's much more easier to test the sentiment on the ground. This time, with 14 corner fights being the largest ones, and 10 corner fights being very common in all the constituencies, and you got 5 giants fighting throughout Sabah. So just to recap, you got your GRS, who is the incumbent Chief Minister's party. Head-on collision is with Warisan. So these two Sabah giants. These are the two local parties, and Warisan is contesting every seat against GRS. GRS is contesting most of the seats, except for some of the seats that it's made way for PH. Then you've got BN, who is also on the PH and GRS side when it comes to the Madani government, and have been on the same government together in Sabah for the last few years. But they are going head on with GRS in pretty much all the seats. BN also made way for PH. So you got PH being a relatively small contestant, contesting not even 1/3 of the seats in Sabah, but looks like will definitely partner with GRS if they can form government, unless Warisan gets too many seats. Then the fifth giant is the one standing a bit alone in the corner of the room, Perikatan. No one knows what Perikatan is up to in this election.
They're most quiet also.
The most quiet, the most unknown, and might be decimated at this rate. But never write off anyone. And so these are the five main ones. Then you've got UPCO having a surge since they broke away from Pakatan Harapan just a few days before the elections. And you've got your Star, your Kitingan, bringing the local sentiment in, and then you've got a whole bunch of other independent candidates and smaller local parties jumping into the fray. So can you imagine? You just need 25% of the vote to win a seat.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's not even like a three-corner fight where you need like 40-something% of the vote. That was also, people say, bad enough that you don't win 51% of the
That's
vote
right.
to win the seat. But now, maybe you win 23% of the vote and you still win the seat.
Yeah.
So maybe the strategy for anyone to win is how you split everyone else's vote so that your 20-something% can, bring you across the finish line. This first
Easy,
past
man.
the post system. So that's why it's quite hard to predict who is going to win. It's one thing to take a poll to say like, 27% of Sabah supports Warisan, but how does that translate down to the seats? Very tricky. Very, very, very tricky.
Yeah. So usually when it comes to such a situation, right, when there is so many different sides, number one, is not that common these days.
No. I think this is an exception.
Right.
In fact,
It's quite an exception, right?
Yeah. We have not seen something
Correct.
like this happen before.
Yeah. And number two, when we are looking at such a situation, it is not common to the usual strategy applied to win a state already. Because
Correct.
I believe that generally every single party has a playbook in every
Yes.
single state, right?
Yes.
That's why we know which is a safe state, which is not a safe state, how to generally win, who to candidate. But this time round, it is just like really you take a stone and just throw, and you really not really sure what's going to happen.
Sometimes you may
right?
think that, but if you're running the campaign, then it comes down to getting out the vote. So the thing is, you need to identify who are the small pockets of people in your constituency that are likely to vote for you.
Yeah.
And motivating them to come out and vote is very important.
So it will be a very close call game, and it will
Yes.
be a very on ground kind of.
Very, very on ground. Very close call, very on ground. The second thing is, this is a strategy that will come into play for this kind of election, is you need to split your opposition. Now, if I know that you, Peter, are never going to vote for me, and you and your family are most likely leaning to vote for one of my opponents, can I split you? Can I throw up an issue during the campaign to make people talk about this one particular issue that will split you to A and B? Half of your family will go A and half of your family go B.
So you don't vote
So
for any of
I
mine.
don't want any other of my opponents to have a concentration of vote. This is necessary, and this is like when you go behind the curtain in the campaign room, because no one is going to talk openly. What is this?
That's right.
What are all these strategies? But these strategies are also, once again, not like a blanket policy. So you have to look at each campaign one by one, each seat one by one, and see how you can effectively split your opponent vote.
Wow.
How you can cause 20% of maybe your main opponent is Warisan, but what issues can you bring up in the campaign? What must you get the town talking about, so that half of Warisan voters will say like, actually, you know what, I'm not going to vote Warisan. I still will not vote for me, but okay, I won't vote for Warisan.
But at least no
But it's okay,
concentrated.
you split the vote. You
Right.
split your opponent's vote. So this is very crucial. Who plays the game the best will win. On one hand, it's a lot of gamemanship. On the other hand, it's also a pity that the whole idea of democracy is that you get the government that really represents the will of the people.
Right.
Maybe not this time.
Yeah,
maybe
because
not this time.
there'll be no major at all, right?
Whoever who wins is not likely to win with a strong, solid vote from the overall ground.
Now, having said that, to revisit this whole thing, right, it was also this topic that Anthony Luke brought up last time, where he said that he encourages that the state will dissolve the government together alongside with the federal government's dissolve, right, so that two elections will happen at the same time.
Yeah.
When I look at this Sabah election, right, I feel like it should happen that way. I feel like, in fact, we should have a clear reset because it's quite tiring. You see, I was just thinking about it. How a state even run efficiently? Federal government already implemented certain benefits or certain plans, and then because there is gonna be an election coming up for your state, everything is put on hold to focus on the state election, and so there'll be almost half a year of non-running to 1 year of non-running.
Yeah.
So everything becomes so inefficient. Might as well, right? You just coordinate everything, state and federal together at the same time, dissolve it. At least once you kickstart, everything can run properly.
I think when it comes to Peninsula, definitely that's the sentiment. But at Sabah and Sarawak, you got to also respect the local sentiment. This idea that they want their state elections to be in a different cycle from the federal elections, so to give that identity. Yeah.
Right.
So it's okay. I think it's not the end of the world. It's fine. If you look at first world, America, they elect their Congress every 2 years. So in a 5-year cycle, you elect one time state government, one time federal government. Not too different lah. And then in a lot of countries, you have local elections, which is also normally 2-year cycle or 3-year cycle. So maybe not too bad lah. But for Sabah and Sarawak, I think when it comes to Peninsula, we have never had it before until the last election, and I don't think the ground is desiring this and grateful for this identity. Like, okay, I know I'm Selangor, we will have our own Selangor elections, talk about Selangor issues during Selangor elections. That's not really what you hear from the ground. So I think everyone's going to be quite grateful to just do it together and not complicate things by having 2 rounds of campaign.
Yeah, that's how I feel.
Yeah. So I actually 110% support what Anthony suggested, that we should all go for elections together, and that looks like if it is going to happen, it will be about 1 year from today.
Right. So what's the next thing that is interesting?
Well, did you hear about the announcement of who is going to become the next MB of Selangor?
No, because I was in Singapore the last whole week and I did not pay attention to Malaysian news.
You did not pay attention to Malaysian news, and it's quite out there now because it was quite hot, I thought, based on a lot of people's reaction, that Nurul Izzah was named as a potential successor to Amiruddin. So this is a suggestion from Amir himself. Many may not have realized that at the next election, it would be 2 full terms of Amir as Menteri Besar of Selangor. From 2018 until now, and that, well, the principle of 2 terms for head of government is in the Pakatan Manifesto, has been the Pakatan Harapan principle, and I'm glad that he's also looking towards that, like thinking of who he wants to succeed him in this seat, and he's thinking of moving on to a different seat. Moving on to a different role in government.
Yes. Yeah. So earlier when you told me before the start of this podcast about this news,
took you by shock.
Yeah, it took me a shock. But was it too shocking? Not really, because the fact that Nurul Izzah already won the vice president position,
deputy president,
right? Deputy president position.
Yes.
Right. There has to be a role for her. The question is that where is it going to be?
Yeah.
So one of the discussion that we actually brought up was, is it better to see her as an MB or is it better to see her as an MP?
Yeah. So what do you think? Is it less nepo to have her as Menteri Besar of a state rather than to be a cabinet minister? I mean, to say that she should totally sit out of politics because her father could be the prime minister, is the current prime minister, might be a bit difficult. Maybe this one term that she's not set in an official frontline position, but has many behind the scene roles. But I think the next round is quite likely that she will take a frontline role.
Yeah.
Which is better, you think? Which one looks worse?
I think firstly, talking about nepotism, for me, while there is definitely a question about that, we cannot ignore it. I personally don't think that someone should be limited just because of a family background. Now, so for me, what matters is after you take the position, do you actually deliver results? which lead to my answer is, because I do not know her personally, I have only seen her perform or either heard about her performing as an MP level.
Yep.
I do not know what is her experience or performance as a MB level, right? As a Menteri Besar level. So I would say that the question here is, where do you think she will be most effective at? Is it an MP or MB? While at the same time, I would say that if you feel her as a MP itself, right, for the next round, there will be another round of question about nepotism.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just that after that, then it will be facing the question of, do you then put her as a minister? Another level of question.
Yeah.
So it's just a question of sooner or later for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think this is also one of the thinkings that maybe by putting her at the state level, it puts a bit of distance between father and daughter. Because as Menteri Besar, there's a lot of decisions that the buck stops with her. She's not doesn't need to go to the Prime Minister for a lot of approvals or a lot of decisions. She doesn't need to table cabinet papers for the things that she wants to do as a minister. She does it herself, and she takes responsibility for what she does or does not do. So I think it's more arm's length. It also gives her a chance to showcase her executive capabilities, which she has not held public executive office. So she's never been a minister, never been an exco before. But I think that doesn't mean she can't do the job. So I'm quite open, and I think it'll be quite exciting because if she really takes it up, it will be a new record in the history. The first female Menteri Besar in this country.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've never had female rise to that level. We've had females rise to exco level and minister level. The highest, maybe you could say the deputy prime minister level, but we've never had the head of government, be it prime minister or Menteri Besar, being a female. And the feminist in me says that, I'm excited to see that.
Well, now I'm convinced after you say it.
Yeah.
In fact, previously I was quite neutral, but right now after you say it, I think I am also more agreeable for her being an MB. Number one is because of the arm's length.
Yeah.
And because it's a whole set of different rules.
Yeah.
It's a whole set of different people, and some of these people don't give a damn about whether your dad is a prime minister or not. Because they know if they are playing at the career state level, I don't need the blessing. I don't need big blessing from the federal side. So that also allows her to kind of showcase her ability to lead a whole different team without the shadows of her dad, right?
Yeah.
And then if you finish that term and in future you take on a ministerial level, it gives you more credit to take up that term as well. Yeah. So I think that would be good.
And if she aspires to be prime minister one day, many years in the future, I think this is a very good stepping stone in terms of experience, in terms of showcasing what you can do as head of government, be it a smaller government, but still head of government. It's very different to be the head and to be one of the second tier.
That's right.
When you're a minister, you're the second tier. You got the prime minister as the head. As minister, you need to get him to sign off on things. You need to get budgetary approval. You don't call the shots fully. Yeah, you are working for someone, and that someone also puts in KPI to you. You may have one vision as the minister for education. Prime minister may say, I want these 3 things done. So you find a way to get these three things done. Then you want to do 5 other things of your own. I'm neutral, but if I don't like something, I'll tell you I don't like it. Then I want you to pull back because I don't agree with you. As a minister, you execute a lot, but you don't have a final say on what you do. You don't have the full autonomy to decide. But as Menteri Besar, the buck stops with you. Everything under the state purview, the buck stops with you. Yeah, you have to deal with public perception, stakeholder engagement, but the final call is still you.
Yep.
Yeah, and you lead a whole team of 10 excos that you need to guide the same way a prime minister needs to guide the ministers to say we cannot go down this policy direction, or we cannot go down that. We can go down that. I want you to do this. I want you to deliver this because I got this vision for housing. I got this vision for the environment. So it's a very different role to play, and I think it's good to showcase your capability running the government at the state level, especially a state as big as Selangor, as a stepping stone to the prime ministership.
Yep, I totally agree with it. I think that for me, it'll be quite exciting to see her running as a Menteri Besar.
Yeah. All right. So, but whether she takes up the role in the end is yet to be seen. She's been quite quiet on this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I was quite surprised that Ami revealed this. Yeah, I've heard this internally before, and I've heard this being suggested and floated, and I think it also dealt with a lot of internal questions of whether Zafrul is coming in to be the Menteri Besar.
Oh,
Yeah, so I think it's quite clear cut that that's not on the table.
yep.
From every angle, that's not on the table. I
Yep,
think
yep.
neither Zafrul wants it. Nobody here wants Zafrul to come in for that role. I think he has a much more effective role that he can play as a federal minister, and if he continues on in politics, I think that role will probably be in cabinet.
Yeah, so this will be the next question, right?
Yeah.
Because Tengku Zafrul will be ending his term
Yes.
as well in
Yes,
December.
in a couple of days.
Yeah, in a couple of days. Now, with that in mind, what do you think is the next placement going to be? Because he's definitely going to go into PKR.
He is
a lot of
already
people,
in PKR.
Yeah, a lot of people were thinking about like that he's going to take over as a Menteri Besar. That was the original rumor that was flying around.
Yeah,
And looks like that's
not going to happen.
not going to happen. Yeah, with Amir dropping the bomb. Yeah. Then what do you think is his position going to be?
I think he plays some kind of advisory role in the government, some kind of role that PM will create for him until the next elections. So it's a 1 year sort of sabbatical. I think the PM can give him enough prominent work to do. It doesn't have to be a symbolic role. It can be actual prominent work that he can do within the Ministry of Finance or the Ministry of Trade, or just overall on the economic front, economic advisor to the Prime Minister. Yeah, like how Mahathir gave Daim a lot of work to do. Daim was not cabinet minister in 2018, but created this thing called the Council of Eminent Persons and gave him a role to do. Similarly is this. If you want him as part of your government, you can create roles for him. And even if, let's say, not a significant role is created, it's 1 year of sabbatical before he contests as a member of parliament. And all signs look that he will contest in Ampang.
Likely?
Yeah, because he was sent to the Ampang branch, the Cabang Ampang, to be a member there. And the current MP for Ampang is a Rafizi hardcore supporter. So it looks like it's not that surprising. Like there will be some trimmings within the Rafizi camp. Quite a number of them will likely to be dropped after their defeat in the last party election. Not surprising. So it makes sense that he comes in as the MP for Ampang in the next election. I think no surprise there. And I think they've chosen a Cabang where the Ketua Cabang is not desiring to be MP next round. Ketua Cabang happens to be Adun, and I think is quite content continuing on in a state role. Maybe give him an exco-ship, or maybe not an exco, but some other role in the state level, but he's not pushing to be MP.
Right.
So, PMX has found a house for him. But now he has to work hard to deal with both the public, which we always assume that when it comes to elections, you deal with the public. Yes, you need to deal with the public. You need to win the public support. Places like Ampang, I think, are more likely to vote for Harapan than to vote against Harapan. But it's not in the bag. It's not that you can get a free ride. It's no Seputeh lah. It's no Seputeh. It's no Kepong.
Yes.
That is like a sure win seat. You still need to put in the work.
And
So
he need to convince his own branch people, right?
Correct. And the second one, which is probably harder in the next 1 year, is he needs to win over the rank and file PKR members. And not just PKR member, it'll be much easier to win over the rank and file Amanah and DAP members within the Ampang area, because being a PKR seat, normally the component parties tend to support whoever PKR chooses to run. But within PKR, he needs to win over the love and support and acceptance of the guys who were there for the last 20 years before he suddenly parachuted in. So there's some work there for him. But yeah, I think it's good. It's good to have this conversation early. It's good to put this out early. I think it's good for everyone who deals with the government to get an idea of what's coming down the road, and not take things by surprise when state assembly is dissolved and suddenly people are all speculating.
Right.
Yeah. So I think good move. More states should emulate this. More Menteri Besar should say, like, I suggest this person to be my successor. groom that person for the role, give that person some exposure to the role before the day comes, and to try to hand over the machinery. I mean, you're the head of PKR in Selangor. You have sufficient influence over the PKR machinery in Selangor, over the Pakatan Harapan machinery in Selangor, to persuade them to transfer their support to Nurul Izzah when she takes over, if she takes over.
Okay, interesting topics.
All right.
Now let's take a quick break, and later when we're back, let's talk about the next part.
All right.
All right, welcome back to the second part of the Are We OK Season 2. I'm Peter.
Hi, and I'm Rajiv. What do we have next on the table, Peter?
All right, so the next part of this episode, since we are on the streak of talking about succession and elections and all, I thought it would be quite meaningful to actually talk about next year's possible election.
All right.
Now, there's already a lot of rumors flying around talking about, I've been hearing ranging from Q3 to Q4.
Yeah.
There's a very high likelihood that Malaysia is going to be having election.
Yes.
Right? And you being part of the government, and this time round, they've already said that they will dissolve both state government and also federal government at the same time, which means...
It looks likely that they will.
Yes,
Yeah.
looks like, right? At least that's what Anthony is advocating for.
Yes,
Which is your
correct.
party, right?
Correct. I also advocate for the same.
Yeah, so I also like it, right?
Birds of the same feather, think alike.
So here's the thing. What are your thoughts? I think I'll just put it this way, right? You are one of the batch of MPs, Aduns that during our time, during the Bersih period, we voted for, right? I'm not from a constituent, but I'm clearly one of the supporters of those
One of the older generation.
Yeah, the older generation,
Not the
right?
only 18.
Yeah, when we used to see Tony Pua's advertisement on 螺丝嘛, he used to make all these jokes about the 1MDB time. Now, to cut a long story short, I've done this podcast with Kian Ming, now with you. What are your thoughts about it for next year? Firstly, do you think you will be contesting for next year's term? Now, I understand that it's not fully up to your decision, but you do have an influence in it, and for you to also fight for a share, right? So my first question is this. Do you think you'll be contesting?
Well, I think there's two parts to it. I mean, there definitely is whether I want to or not. I mean, if I don't want to, then there's no question. I just announced my retirement and it's not on the table anymore. If I want to, then it's not entirely up to me. It is also up to my party, whether they still want to fill me in, or, maybe what role do they want to fill me in, and whether I'm agreeable to the role that they want to fill me in. So I would say that I'm not done with public service. I would definitely love to play some role in the next term of government. Am I open to various options? Definitely. Definitely open. Definitely would be happy to consider any role that my party would like me to play. And as long as it gels well with what I've enjoyed doing and what I would still like to continue doing, then I think I'll stay on.
Right.
And if the time comes where maybe the role they see me playing is not something I would want to do, I think it's also okay to walk away. It's also okay to move on to the next phase of life. I mean, I have done 3 terms of elected office, and before that 5 years assisting Hannah when she was the Adun for Subang Jaya, as well being a councillor in MPSJ. So it's been quite a long run in politics.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe it's also it'll be a good time to move on as well.
Yeah. So never know.
Never know, because I think what's important is to see what role I would play in the next round.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now here's where I'm very interested to actually explore, right?
Yes.
Because if we are talking about being a part of the government, you have been in the government for very long. Actually, 3 terms as elected Adun.
And
right?
4 terms if you count the one
4
before
terms
that.
you count the one before that where you were helping out.
Yeah.
Now, how was it in your first term? Maybe can you share with me, right? I bet the first time when you got elected as Adun, how did it felt? What was it like? Tell me about it.
Wow. Okay. Let's go
Let's
back.
recall a bit
Let's
first.
recall back.
Recall a bit to prep for next year's election.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the first term was not helping out. I mean, yes, helping out, but I was working full time, and working for Hannah and working as a Subang Jaya councillor was absolute full time. Absolutely punishing schedule. We were talking about easily 12 to 14-hour working days. I would say worse than it is today. Today also work hard, but definitely in terms of the hours, much worse in the first term. And in the first term of my adun, definitely much more punishing. I think it was a mix of many desires. I mean, winning government in 2008 was unexpected. When we campaigned in 2008, I had no hope that we will win. I mean, we were in a situation that in 2004, we only had 2 DAP members in the State Assembly and 54 BN.
So at that point, right?
Yes.
2008, were you...
I was campaigning for
You
Hannah.
were campaigning, but were you full-time? No, right?
In the campaign, nobody was full-time.
You were a part-timer
We
at
were
the time,
all
right?
volunteers in the campaign.
So you're a volunteer, and then after that, you guys won over the government.
Then when we won the government, Hannah was elected into office alongside with 36 Pakatan Rakyat aduns back then. So I started working for Hannah.
So you started working full-time by then?
Actually, I started working part-time, but within a year, then I became full-time.
Right. Now, can you share with me what was the turning point? What was it that made you say, okay, I'm not just going to volunteer moving ahead. I'm going to give up my job? Because you were an engineer, if I can recall correctly,
yes,
right?
I was an engineer.
Yeah.
I had started my own business at that point.
That's right. So it's not like you have no options.
I had. In fact, I cut my pay in half.
That's right.
By going full-time into politics.
What made you decide to leave politics at the point?
Okay.
I mean, not leave your
To leave
career
the
at
private
the
sector.
point. Yeah.
To be quite honest, I think it is a calling. I felt that this is my calling in life. I felt a higher level of fulfillment doing this work than I did doing my private sector work. So yes, I was working for an engineering firm, a contractor firm, doing all kinds of mechanical and electrical engineering. Then I had started my own firm. I cut my pay in half by going full-time into politics. But in that 1 year before I decided to move into full-time and not do it part-time, it was very clear that my fulfillment, my calling was definitely this line of work. And so yes, we were always solving problems. In fact, they say low-hanging fruit, right? The thing about being in the 2008 generation is that you definitely had a lot more low-hanging fruits because you're part of the first change of government. There's so many things to solve, so many problems you can fix, and fixing every single one of these problems was very fulfilling. And so I had hundreds of cases that I had to work on. I had too much material to use in my report card when I contested for Adun that we had to, filter because my campaign team was like, we can't just publish a very thick and boring flyer. So let's make it more colorful. Let's make it more, highlight the important stuff. And we had to choose what we felt was important and worth putting out there as the report card. But even the things that didn't make the report card, it was still very fulfilling to work on it and to solve it.
Right.
Yeah.
So was there a single incident that you go like, okay, this is what am I going to do for the rest of my life? I'm going to take a half pay cut.
I don't think there was one single incident. I think it just gradually grew in. I was part-time. Hannah paid me 500 ringgit a month. But I started coming to a point where I was spending 70 to 80% of my time in the office.
Understood.
And then when we reach that point, you realize that, this is where your heart is. This is where you feel you should be, at least for this season. And in fact, I had got a job offer to go back into the private sector at the end of the term.
Okay.
Yeah. And so when I discussed with Tony Pua and asked him, I would love the opportunity to be a candidate to take my work to the next level in politics. And when it looked like there was no opening available, then I asked him that, so is it okay that I don't be a councillor anymore and I go back into the private sector? And I had got a job offer from someone and it was like, okay, I will help the party until the election day, right? So that we hopefully win another term in state government and hopefully win the first time in the federal government. But so all in the 2013 elections, in the months leading up to the 20 elections, but with a job offer in hand that after the 2013 elections, okay, I help the party to get to as far as it can get, but because I'm not one of the frontline guys, then I go back to the private sector.
Okay.
But last minute, in fact, it was just 3 days before nomination day, they had a reshuffle and an opening came up and then I was offered Bukit Gasing.
I see.
So
and that's how you...
And that's how I got in as state assemblyman then. and I've actually enjoyed the work. So, do state assemblymen have to be full-time? Actually, the answer is no. Many of them are part-time, but I've enjoyed doing it full-time because it really was, I think, what God made me for.
Right.
It was really my calling, and I just devoted all my working hours. I mean, I didn't work 24/7. I still had my family time. I still took my off time. I still had holidays here and there, to be quite frank. But all my working time, I was definitely fulfilled doing this. It was really like, why go back into business?
And you definitely did a pretty good job as okay, I'm not a constituent, so I do not know, but I can only know from what I've heard and
You've heard
what
good
I've
things.
seen. Yeah. Well, you have a Bukit Gasing trail,
Yeah.
the hiking trail, where it's very, very popular. I mean, over the years, we have seen how it was well maintained after that, the park down there and stuff like that. So, yeah, there are results that is obvious to the eye, right?
Okay.
And then there are people who actually come and talk to me and say, hey, yeah, now I see Rajiv on the podcast, and yeah, he's my Adun, and he did a good job. That's what people will tell me, right? I'm pretty sure there are complaints as well. But nonetheless, the point is this, right? Your first year there,
Yes.
and your first term there,
Yes.
uh,
I sense a difficult question coming.
I suppose it was very different from today because this time is your third term.
Correct.
Yeah. What has changed over the years? Let's start with the question of, because after that you guys took over as a state government, as a federal government, and this one thing that I've chatted with many people who are in politics. One of the most common theme is when an opposition turns into government, there is always a very big shift in culture, shift in mindset, shift in talents needed, for better or worse, right? How was that shift like for you?
Definitely, there's a shift. I think depends on, there's so many dimensions of how things are different today than it was 10 years ago. Maybe the most glaring thing is when you first get elected in your first term of office, you see the 300 problems in your constituency that you must solve. And your life probably would center around solving this. And so I would admit, in my first term, I had a very skewed ratio of a very high concentration of local work versus more national or state-wide work. I want to solve all the problems that you have in Section 17, PJ Old Town, Section 5, and a lot of the time spent at work is dealing with your local issues, dealing with the problems you can solve. Maybe less on the state level, less looking at the bigger picture. And those who are excos or those on their second term probably spend a bit more time. I think as I move to the second term and the third term, I spend more time. The ratio starts to shift. We still have a lot of attention. I think I know my ground very well. I think I know my constituents very well. And I think if anyone wants to do a pop quiz with me, I would prevail very well. But I do spend more time on bigger picture issues. And I do spend more time on that. So that's one dimension. But I think the other dimension that has changed is definitely how the party operates. When you are in opposition, I mean, while we were state government, we were in the big picture opposition. Every day everyone takes out their machine gun, feed the ammo into it, and then train their guns on the government, the federal government. And so it's not about coordinating. It's just about everyone just shoot lah. If you hit a bullseye, you hit a bullseye lah. If your statement gets a lot of popularity with the public, then great lah. But there's no wrong. Just shoot. Every day, just shoot. And so we had that role to play in politics. That every day we took our guns, trained it on the then Najib government, and every day just shoot. But once you change and you become federal government and state government, there's nothing to shoot anymore.
Shoot yourself.
Yes, enough of our DAP elected reps shoot ourselves every day.
Yeah.
And so these are the ones which are probably going to be retired from overshooting our own selves.
Yeah.
you should not. I take a view that it's not about shooting
That's
yourself. I think this is where maybe Ken Ming and I were more on the similar page than on compared to other things. Is that when you want to solve problems, you want to move things forward, and so now it's not about taking the gun and shooting. Now it's about identifying stakeholders, bringing stakeholders together, and finding solutions that can work across all the different stakeholders as an achievement, as part of being government. So now, after you win federal government and state government, when you have one of the governments in opposition, then it's okay lah. You take the machine gun and shoot every day. But if you are both federal and state government, there's really nothing to shoot.
So your first term was you were a state government, but federal was
Opposition.
was still opposition.
Correct. So
second term became state,
half.
state and federal, right?
For a short while.
Oh, for a short while.
Remember,
Yes, that's
just
right.
22 months.
Yeah.
And then we went back.
Okay. So
Yeah.
that was the time that you all had to adapt, right?
We had to adapt for the first 22 months. I think because I was given a role with Yobin in Mestec, in the Ministry of Energy, Environment, and Climate Change, there was a lot of governing to do, and I was very much involved in governing. So there was no time to shoot your own self. Yeah. Then when we went back into opposition after the 22 months, after Sheraton moved, back to take out the machine gun.
Right.
And then play the good role of a good opposition party to hold the government to account for whatever they do or don't do. So that's changed. This term is a very stable federal government. And then right now, if you are not a minister, if you're not an exco, if you don't hold executive office, you need to find your place. And I think that has been a challenge to myself and also to a lot of my colleagues.
Right.
To find a role, to find like what is your effective role that you play to help the governing move forward while not sitting in cabinet, but you're part of the government, how to move things forward, how to move issues forward. So you don't sit and just criticize the government because now you're part of the government, but you also don't sit and do nothing. Then how do you find that balance? So that part is different. So that's why you've got some differences in how you play your government role, your elected role. You got some differences in how you play your party role.
Right.
And I think maybe one other big difference is now everyone wants to join you.
Yeah.
People like to join the winner lah. When you are opposition party, you get less people coming in. Although when DAP was doing well from 2008 to 2018, there was a huge influx of people coming in because the potential is there.
That's right.
But once you cross the line and become federal government,
It's
then another wave of huge influx.
So here's where I want to ask you, right? Because your definitely I can see in your first time when you were helping out, full time as a councillor.
Yeah.
Then your second term was as a fully effective adun, and federal government is a different party.
Yeah.
Then subsequently you have 24 months of in that same place.
Yeah.
And during that time, your boss, which was Yobin, right, was one of the powerful minister, the bright star of tomorrow, right?
All right.
No. And the unfortunate thing is
Sheraton move
happened, cut short. And also YBO was no more after that kind of, not say no more, but rather took a more back seat kind of position, even up to today, right? Which is a bit, I would say that, I'm not really sure, but at least she doesn't really come out to the limelight that much these days.
I think she tries.
Then, also at this point right now, unlike your term 2 and term 1, which was, I'm just trying to project myself in your shoe.
Yeah, okay.
Right? Which is most of your colleagues as well. Right? Because we only know that many politicians. The remaining are probably people that don't even know their names. Right? In the past, at the federal level, if they need people to work on things and they need help, there is probably a recruitment call. And it's easier to find some sort of an opportunity. But today, being a ruling government, there's no recruitment call needed anymore, I suppose. Literally everyone is fighting to come in. Instead, your problem now is filtering the wrong people.
You need to filter, correct.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, it is a very different position from the past, where someone will probably come to you and say, hey, can you come and help out here? Chances are, you're drowned out among a sea of people. I'm not sure. I'm just thinking about it at the corporate level kind of thing. So, do you think this problem has become something that's very prominent among other DAP Aduns or MPs as well?
I think it's the same experience that most, not just DAP, but I think everyone in the Pakatan coalition across PKR and Amanao also would go through this. Also would be going through
Yep.
the same thing. Yeah.
Right.
It's
right.
different for BN. BN has always been in government, sat out for a while, came back, sat out for a while, came back, but largely, like, historically, always been in government. I think it's something that not just DAP goes through.
Right.
PKR and Amana just as much.
So then how do you feel now? Like, because in the early days it was very different. Today it is still the same name,
Yeah.
but it is a very different kind of creature that you are serving.
Yeah.
Right.
I think this is where it's time to always weigh your options. All right, because it's a different mission. I mean, last time it was a mission against the big bad wolf. Last time the live calling was to take down the big bad wolf. Right now, that's not the mission anymore. Right now, the mission is moving the country forward. How exactly would I play a role in moving the country forward? I think that's important to me. If I get a decent role to play, then I would love to stay on. But I would also want to not just stay on for the sake of staying on, just to occupy the seat, just to warm the seat. It must come hand in hand with a decent role to play in moving things forward. There's so many things to move forward. Climate change, we need more climate action in this country. Education, the environment, clean air, clean water, economic growth. So there's enough room. There's the statement of needs is sky high. You will not build this country overnight. To say that just because it's a statement of needs, this government is a failure, no. I think in many ways, Anwar's government has done relatively well. But there's always a lot to do. And I think the next term of government has to deal with healthcare, probably as the number one issue. Economic growth is always going to be an issue for a country like ours, but I think healthcare may jump to be number one in the next term of government. And if we can see healthcare breaking in its seams now and how we put that together.
Now, moving ahead, coming in next year, right? What do you see are some of the challenges that the current government will face? Or maybe I'll put it this way. What do you think are some of the current challenges that DAP will face? Because let me clarify that statement first. I don't think they have some sort of like big challenges in they're going to have any issues, right? But I think it is, whether we like it or not, it is a place where old guards are changing, new guards are coming in, the way of working is changing, and there will be people that will be unhappy, there will be people who are happy. The fact is, it is a very pivoting moment. It is a time for DAP to decide what kind of party are they going to be moving ahead. And I'm not making a wild guess. It is true, right? I mean, Anthony puts it out there. And we all know that change is not pretty.
Yeah.
Change sounds good on paper, but it's never pretty in execution. And as someone who has been there for close to 20 years, what are some of the things that you have observed as the main challenge?
I think DAP faces two huge challenges going to the next election. The first one is the purpose of existence, the call to action. Every election that we have gone in has been about taking down the big bad wolf. 2013, when we had the strongest ever push. 2008, I think, when we campaigned, no one thought we can change the government. 2013, a lot of people were hoping we can take down the government. Pakatan Rakyat could win federal government. 2018, once again, we hoped we could win, and we did win. 2022, we were back in opposition when we went into the election. So we fought once again against the big bad government, trying to take down the incumbent. This will be the first time we're going to go defend the government. So last time, two big bullets. While DAP has a manifesto, Pakatan Harapan has a manifesto of many, many items, all of which are very important to the country. But there was a rallying cry behind basically two large calls. One is corruption, good governance, and the second, for the case of DAP, the racial inequalities. The call for either Malaysia, if you want to put it from that way, or a call against bridging the racial divide. So these were largely the two rallying cries why people supported DAP over the last 30, 40 years, why they still continue to support DAP.
Yeah.
And then now when you are in government, what is your rallying cry for the next election? Is it going to say that, vote for us to fight corruption? It doesn't hold the same sway and strength as when you are in the opposition saying that.
Yeah.
Vote for us to move us towards a closer Malaysia. Doesn't hold any more sway once you are the incumbent.
Yeah.
So what is the rallying cry then? Is it going to be like Obama and healthcare? Or is it going to be UK and Brexit? What is going to be the rallying cry? If you have a rallying cry, you have a purpose, like you are in the race to be the next government because we need to solve this crisis. We need to solve this problem. We need to move this thing forward. And then it's something that you focus everyone together on. And so if we don't identify why vote for us, it will be harder to mobilize people. It will be harder to mobilize your supporters or to mobilize people on the fence to become your supporters. Mm-hmm. The thing that maybe this maybe can tahan another round, one more round of election cycle is because we still have that green wave threat. So in the last state elections, the focus was largely on green wave. A lot of focus was given to the green wave.
Yep.
So not so much on the meritocracy of the Penang government, the Selangor government, and our 3 terms in office, but the threats of if you don't come out and vote for Harapan, they will win.
Yeah.
Then everyone came out and vote for Harapan so that they can still wear short pants.
Like me today.
Like Peter today. But this will not last long. So maybe the next election, we do not know what the sentiment will be 1 year from today. The green wave could be a viable threat that will mobilize your supporters, or maybe it may not be that big of a threat, and then maybe that will not be the key thing to mobilize, and then that's where the new call to action is needed. So like Trump had a very clear call to action.
Yep.
Make America great again, bring back the jobs from China, from Mexico. Yep. He had a purpose. Against when he fought against Hillary didn't quite have a purpose.
Yeah.
When he fought against Biden is like, vote for me for good governance, stability, preserving the status quo, but not
there needs to be a rallying cry.
There needs to be a rallying cry, and I think this is one of the challenges that not just DAP but Harapan faces. We need to identify what the new rallying cry is. 2018, GST and 1MDB. Overall, in every election, corruption, good governance. What will it be moving forward when we defend our incumbency in the federal government? So this is where, for me, I think one of the biggest breaking points now is healthcare. So I think healthcare could be one of it. Your agenda for the country. So you can deliver very well like Singapore, and then your reason to stay in power is because we are the only one competent to be government. Yeah, but I think this doesn't resonate.
I don't think this resonates.
This doesn't resonate with Malaysians.
Yeah.
So
you don't have the track record to say that yet.
We don't have the track record. I think it's hard to get the track record unless you got 3 terms in government
That's
or 4 terms in government. It's hard to establish that kind of track record. Vote for me, I'm good for the economy, but really what's your economic plan different from them? It's more wishy-washy. And the problem with economy is like today, if the election is today, we can say, look at this. Ringgit went up under our watch.
So, no, that's any economist will know that
it's not for the economists, it's for the masses.
Okay,
I know, but you see, every argument you give about the economy, chances are that economic turn is volatile.
Yes.
And that economic turn could turn against you in 6 months' time.
You want something that's controllable. You want something that will stand through the time where it shows a benefit regardless of external things. And I think healthcare, yes, is definitely one of those areas. But maybe just put a pin there first. Okay. Right? You have talked about the key thing here that DAP faces, or maybe to put it this way, the unity government itself faces.
Another one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that one. What's the next one?
The next one is our values when it comes to money, when it comes to good governance.
Okay.
Yeah, because it is one thing when you're in the opposition. The only way you raise money is the Milo tin. You go around, people contribute towards the fight. And I know that feeling running in 2013, running in 2018, and a bit lesser in 2022, because between COVID and the fact that we've been in federal government, it dropped a bit. But in 2018 and 2013, how you see people put 5 ringgit, 10 ringgit, 50 ringgit into the donation box, that fueled the campaign. But that was fueled by the masses, the public that contributed towards the change. As you enter the election as an incumbent, now you got all the tantris, you got the big financial players, the big companies willing to write you 1 million ringgit checks. So how do you straddle dealing with all these ethical issues? How do you balance good governance? How do you draw a code of conduct for yourself and not get sucked into money politics? It is one thing to take donation and say that, no, I take donation from anyone who gives, but I will behave above board in every decision I do as a minister. If you have that conscience, that's great. That's between you and God. But how do you show that and demonstrate that to the public at large and within the party at large? Now, the party also deals with internal contestations. We have your party elections every 3 years. Will money politics creep into it? What will the code of conduct be? So I strongly advocate that DAP needs to create a code of conduct to prevent money politics from creeping into it. Because when you are in government and when people who are contesting for party elections have government posts, unlike last time, nobody has government posts. All they have is an MP or an adun, but they're not ministers. They're not chairman of this body, chairman of that body. Once you have government posts, will there be a temptation to start using those positions as leverage to gain support from party members? Will money politics start flowing? People need to fly from Sabah, Sarawak, Kelantan, Johor to KL to attend the party convention. Do you start sponsoring? If you sponsor flight, do you then sponsor hotel? If you sponsor hotel, do you sponsor 3-star hotel, or does it start creeping up to 5-star hotel? Be it a big buffet dinner the night before. If you're giving buffet dinner the night before, what about whiskey? Does whiskey flow freely? Does karaoke come in the picture? Where do you draw the line? And if you don't start drawing the line clearly, I fear that over 2 or 3 election cycles, the party could end up down the same rut that previous incumbents have been in, and money politics takes over. So when you enter this first election next year, probably, next GE, the first time you enter as an incumbent, I think this is the 2 things that is very crucial to see how we navigate, to see whether DAP is still the same good old party that you once attended the ceramah in the Padang, put in 20 ringgit into the donation box, or is this a party that is very different? Yeah.
I totally agree with what you say when it comes to all this. Definitely there is a shift. Number 2 is, yes, as opposition turns into incumbent, it becomes a whole different feeling. A lot of things you say has to be very, very different. And the good things that you use to advocate for, number 1, you may realize that it's not so easy to happen, and therefore suddenly you lose the power of shouting. Number 2, it's about what is your next rallying cry that you need to give the people, and what's something that can rally the masses, right? And while they will take time to actually come up with some sort of a message. I suppose everyone have their own message, and I think for yours is healthcare at this point, right? But
it's not
can I say that?
I don't think I would say that's my message. To be honest, it's not
it's
not my area of focus.
Okay, what do you think should be the rallying cry in your opinion?
I think because the way I see healthcare in the last 1 year, how it's getting more and more critical, I think the next rallying cry could be healthcare. I think that the housing is not a big a crisis as it used to be. Environment is important, but somehow it's not the pain point people feel. Cost of living is definitely a pain point.
Yes.
But there doesn't seem to be a structural change that is going to come into place to deal with cost of living. It is just something you have to deal with. There could be some assistance from the government here and there, your SARA and your other schemes that could come in. But I don't think anyone is going to propose such a drastic change to our economic system that cost of living can be the rallying cry of the next election. So what can be the rallying cry? It has to be a change of system.
Right.
So that's why I think that maybe at this point healthcare could be the touch point issue.
Okay. Now, having said that as well, as someone who has been there for quite long, and I believe that there are many people who are like you as well, who have been serving for close to 20 years right now, and enters into a whole different game suddenly, right? That you've been in the game long, but suddenly now it's a whole different game now. And I think here's the different part, right? Last time when you're able to play in the state government level, it's considered, there because that was the highest ground, right? And then you have built your roots in the state government level, and suddenly now the federal is the new playground, right?
Yeah.
And suddenly now federal is the place they look at, and federal is the one who makes the decision as well, right?
Yeah.
So
No, state has a jurisdiction. Let's not discount that.
yeah,
But
there
the
is
federal
that
definitely has a
state
bigger
part.
jurisdiction.
Yeah, it's a bigger jurisdiction. But on the other hand, as well, the question about staying relevant
Yes.
and how to also give opportunity to newcomers.
Yeah.
Now, but the truth is, just like every company, for someone who has been serving for the past 20 years, there needs to be some sort of a career advancement. But there also is the question of needing new blood. If you're to pull yourself out of this situation and just
Okay.
look at it, but having experience of both ends,
All right.
right?
Okay.
You were once a newcomer,
Yes.
you became an incumbent,
Yes.
and today you play back a newcomer to a certain extent,
Okay.
right? Newcomer as into a different game,
Okay.
not so much newcomer to your own party. How do you balance between giving space to a new player? How do you balance between continuous advancement in your own position? Not so much positional purpose, but rather advancement in more in what you can do. Because the truth is, 20 years of experience is worth a lot.
Yep. It's.
You got what I mean?
I think that's a huge question that DAP struggles to answer, and I think you cannot say that there's no path forward, because then you will stop attracting talent.
Correct.
You will only attract corrupt,
So how do
potential corruptors.
how
to come
to
in.
balance that? That's my
Yeah,
question
so
now.
I think this is where it's also important for the party to start talking about what is the KPI within the party. What is the party looking for? Now, if it's up to me, I would suggest that once you're in government, you need people who can deliver, who can move some things and deliver some things, because you need track record. And if you are in government with rhetoric, there's only so long you can last with rhetoric. But if you don't have results to show for, if you have no tangible results to say, like, look, we did this, we did this, we did this, then you can't go far. So you need people who are capable in dealing with the stakeholders, capable of running agencies, so you are delivering. And I think that you can escape maybe in your first term of government, all right? Because people give you all kinds of grace that you're cleaning up the mess, you're new, you got the right spirit, so that's okay. But in the long run, I don't think there'll be many second chances if you cannot deliver. It is one thing to talk, like, we need to lower cost of living. We need to reduce toll collection. But if you cannot work on how you can actually translate that into tangible products or tangible policy change that people can feel, then your government will be very shaky. People will say, like, all same only lah. And I think that's the challenge that DAP faces as a party. It needs to reset the KPI, because last time the KPI is different. Last time the KPI is who is most effective in firing the bazooka at the government as opposition, right? Like Tony Puat did a very good job firing the bazooka, and how he tore Najib's government apart in the 1MDB. Did a very good job. But now it's not about firing the bazooka. Now it's about, okay, you are in government, how do you do it? The other KPI, I guess, in government is how do you manage your people, your crowd, your supporters, and how do you keep them rallying together? How do you keep them supporting the party? So everyone deals with a different support base to some extent. We all deal with largely the same support base, but when you split it up, you deal with a different support base. So some people appeal more to the professionals, some people appeal more to the Chinese association, some people appeal more to the Tamil speaking ground. Are you able to contribute meaningfully in the party support base to keep that support base supporting you? So you have to change your track upside down. Last time, you might be the expert on housing. Every day criticize the BN government on their housing policies. Then you become government, but you're the backbencher, you're not the housing minister. So you give constructive criticisms to your minister. Every day in parliament, you give suggestions. Minister, I think we should do this. Minister, I think we should do that. But that only goes so far. People don't want to hear your constructive ideas anymore. People just want to see what the result is. Then, how do you deal with the crowd? Because then you go back to, let's say you're a guy that appeals to university students. You go back to the university students. Last time, when you talk to university students, you talk about how bad the government is in dealing with housing. Now, when you deal with university students, you need to talk about how good the government is dealing with housing. So you suddenly flip the other side. You have to show the other side of the coin. These are all the changes that
Yes.
that is important. And I think this is what the party has to also weigh in. Is the person capable of doing this?
Right. So execution is key at this point.
Execution is very much key for the people who are in the execution role. But if you're not, if you're a backbencher in parliament, if you're a backbencher in the state assembly, you don't get the execution power.
Correct.
Yeah. So then, are you doing a good role promoting what the government is doing right? Are you doing a good role keeping the party supporters still supporting the party? That is a contributing factor.
Right.
Yeah.
Having said that, right, there's something that I saw in Singapore when I was visiting there that I thought it would be quite good. I understand that for you yourself, within your constituent,
Yeah.
you actually have like a CRM like that
Yeah.
to actually record what's the problem and so on. And that would give you enough data to know what to deal with. Like, what if we open that up even more and say have a centralized one where the whole DAP uses it, right?
Yeah.
Then you can collect a lot more information, and that would help you to strategize better and stay relevant to the ground. Would it be so?
So, that CRM that I showed you, I think, to be honest with you, the biggest reason I have it is because I value my resident satisfaction, customer satisfaction. And for me, that's been very important from day one I got into politics. All right. So by having this, I ensure that things don't get forgotten. I've seen a lot of people who don't have a system. What happens is they remember what's hot. They remember what is loud, because that's what's on the top of your mind. But when somebody complains about an issue that is genuinely a problem, but they don't come and bang the table every week, you could be drowned out by 50 other things that bang the table every week. So in order to ensure that none of this falls through the crack, I have a system that helps me to monitor my 10 plus team members, full-time staff and also not full-time staff, to ensure that we move the needle on all these problems to get them solved. And this customer satisfaction, if is replicated across all of DAP or all of PH, would definitely help us in coming elections. I mean, if your constituents go to the elections and say like, may not feel so great about your economic policy, but I know you're there for me. When there's a problem, and then we come to you, when there was a sewage problem in our neighborhood and we came to you, you pull together all the people necessary to get it solved. And so we know that when we are in trouble, when we come to you, you will do something about it.
Right. So it's more for customer satisfaction than data.
which is very important. Not so much for data, because for data, I use other methods. For data, we need to sample the whole population to see where the pulse of the people are. But for customer satisfaction, I don't want people to talk in the coffee shop that we told YB about this problem, but nothing was done.
Right.
Yeah, we want to minimize that. Sometimes, yes, some problems cannot be solved.
I see.
Sometimes you have a complaint that is a bit outrageous or just impossible to solve. You're like very angry your neighbor keep parking the cars outside the house. But if your neighbor have 4 cars, surely some of the car will be outside the house. Sometimes I cannot solve your problem. Sometimes we have to let certain things go. But a lot of times we can solve your problem.
Right.
Especially if your problem is not with each other. Your problem is with the government. If the street light is not working, you tell me, it gets fixed. If your rubbish collection problem, you tell me, it gets fixed. If your playground has some water ponding issues, you tell me, we work with MBBJ, it gets fixed. Customer satisfaction is important.
Now, having said that then, now that you are in your third term, coming to the end of third term, very likely, the question is the fourth term, right? Since we already talked about it, it's a 50-50 thing, right? If there is a wish list for you, or I would say that like, okay, what do you hope DAP will become in the next term? How will they be like, is there anything that you have in mind?
I think the ultimate wish list is that DAP identifies 3 to 5 key things that we want to move the needle in society. Like, for example, healthcare. We want to do something about public healthcare. We want to do something about clean water, improving river quality standards. Maybe we want to do something about traffic. I think that's something that people will really appreciate. Imagine if you reduce traffic jams by 30%. not eliminate totally one go, but let's say if you can reduce traffic jams by 30%, I think the vast general population would be so appreciative of that. So I think we should identify 3 to 5 things that we want to solve. We want to move the needle on, make a difference in people's lives. And I think I would love to be part of solving those 3 to 5 problems. I definitely have suggestions on what the 3 to 5 problems are. Definitely am willing to roll up my sleeves and put in the work to move the needle on those things. So yeah, that would be my ultimate wish.
Well, I believe in the part where you're willing to roll up your sleeve, because that is something that I've heard very often, and seeing 3 terms that doing it, you definitely have roll up your sleeve, right?
Yes,
Literally,
I
you
think I
grew,
have.
your constituent grew old together with you.
Yes.
When they voted for you, they were like, what, 30s?
Much younger.
30s, and now they're in their 50s, right? Yeah, and now they're in the retirement stage. So, yeah, they were probably like me, like that, near to their 40s, voting for that new guy, seeing the improvement and so on.
Yeah.
I think there were quite a few things that you guys did as well, including renewal of the land thing, right? Which at one point I did ask you about it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those people are thinking about wanting to buy land in PJ. Yeah. I think it's a nice proposition, but that one should get you to talk about it.
All right. Maybe another episode.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else that you want to bring up?
I think maybe this is a good place to end this, good reflection. And then let's pick up more public policy things in the next episode. I mean, audience, tell us, what would you like us to discuss? Leave us a comment, and I'm very happy to pick up from there.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. We will see you next week.
All right. Bye-bye, everyone.